G'day guys, the Mini 028 is a pretty great budget Android-powered handheld out of the box, even on stock OS. But apparently it's even better when using GammaOS, which is a custom OS based on Android 13 TV, designed for low-powered devices like the Mini 028. Today we will not only go through how to do a fresh install, but also take a look how to get your games library all set up and looking nice with artworks, and how to fix that pesky headphone socket quirk that's not present on stock OS. As always, we'll be doing everything over on our Windows 11 PC. Let's get into it. We're over on our Windows 11 PC now, and to get started, we've just opened up Google Chrome and gone to the GammaOS core GitHub page, which as usual, I will link down in the description below. From here, we want to click on Releases on the right-hand side, and as you can see, the latest version is a little over a year old at this point, from back in February 18th, 2025. But if we scroll down on this page, you'll see a big note that says there's a password. We do want to copy that password, so we'll highlight it, right-click, and copy. We'll keep scrolling down, and we want to expand assets. So click on the little arrow, and from here, we just want to download GammaOS Core Beta 3 Mini 28, both parts 1 and 2. Just click on them once to download. You do need both parts. Also, near the very bottom, we want to download the file called phoenixcard.zip. PhoenixCard is what we'll actually be using to write the image to our SD card. You do need to use PhoenixCard to write it. I have tried using a few other popular imaging utilities like Rufus and Ballina Etcher, but unfortunately neither worked. We just want to click on that once as well to download. Also, if you don't already have it installed, you will need to download and install 7-Zip. You can get it for free from 7-zip.org. Just download the correct version for your PC and run the installer. For most people using a modern Windows PC, the correct version will be the top one, 64-bit. Once everything's finished downloading, we can close off Google Chrome and open up our Downloads folder. Inside, we have both parts of GammaOS Core Beta 3 Mini 28 and also phoenixcard.zip. We'll start by joining and extracting GammaOS. Just right-click on part 001. If you're on Windows 11, you may need to go down to Show More Options, 7-Zip, and Extract here. Again, it is password protected, so just paste the password we copied earlier from the GitHub page. Ctrl-V, and click OK. Once it finishes extracting, it won't close by itself because there will be a headers warning. That's okay, you can ignore that and just click Close. You should hopefully now have a single GammaOS image file. Mine is around 6.5 gig. Next, we want to extract PhoenixCard, which is the utility we'll be using to write the image to our SD card. So just right click on it. You can use Windows built-in archiver by clicking Extract All, but I always like to use 7-Zip. So we'll go to Show More Options, 7-Zip, and extract to PhoenixCard. Next, we want to insert the SD card we'll be writing GammaOS to. It doesn't need to be blank, but you will lose everything on it when writing the image. Just keep that in mind. For this, I'll be using my trusty 64 gig Samsung Evo micro SD card. We'll just insert it into the PC. And we'll run PhoenixCard. So open up the folder, find phoenixcard.exe, and double click on it. So this is a fairly simplistic program. In the middle is your device list. Hopefully you see your SD card show up in here. When writing the image to your SD card, you do not get a warning. It just starts writing. So it's important that you triple check the device listed here and ticked is your SD card. If you aren't too sure, take note of the drive letter. So for me, it's D. And then back in Explorer, you can see on the left, it says SDXC D drive. So that is my SD card, D and D. So with the correct SD card selected, where it says work type, click Startup. So that should now go blue. And finally, at the very top, click Image. Navigate to where you extracted the GammaOS image file, which for me was just in Downloads, and double click on it. Once you're certain you have the correct device selected in the device list, click Burn. Again, you do not get a warning. It will start as soon as you click Burn. So I'll click it now, and it's started. This shouldn't take too long to write, depending on the speed of your SD card. But while it's writing, don't touch anything and just be patient. Once it finishes writing, we can close off PhoenixCard. And that's everything we have to do for now on our Windows PC, so we can safely eject our SD card and move back over to our Mini 028 to finish the initial boot setup. We're back on our handheld now, and we just want to insert the new GammaOS SD card upside down so the label's facing away into the only SD slot on this device. And then we can just power it on. We have a GammaOS logo, that's a good sign. It will automatically reboot a few times during this initial boot setup, so don't panic, it is perfectly normal. So it's been a little under 2 minutes now, and we're finally on the GammaOS welcome screen. From here, we'll just go through and finish setting it up. So go down to Start and press A. Select your language. I won't connect to the Wi-Fi just yet. You don't need to, so we'll go down to Skip. And it should automatically finish configuring GammaOS Core. So again, don't press anything and just be patient. Once it finishes setting everything up, you should see this screen, where it just says Start at the bottom right. Simply press A. It should automatically reboot once more, and then take you straight to the GammaOS home screen. And it's finished. So that's GammaOS installed, but we still need to finish setting everything up. Before we do that, we will go through the basic controls. So L1 and R1 change the currently selected tab. So we are on Library by default. If I press R1, it goes to Category, and then Apps, and finally Settings. If we press it once more, it does loop back to Library. L2 and R2 toggle between the currently selected system. So we're on Dreamcast, Game Gear, Game Boy, and so on. L2 goes back in the opposite direction. If you short press Home, which is this little button down here, it usually goes back, but it can also bring up the emulator menu if you're loaded into a game. Long pressing it should take you back to the launcher though, which is this screen here. You can toggle the virtual mouse on and off by holding Select, which is just above the D-pad, and then hold down R1. So as you could see, because we were holding R1, it did cycle between these top categories, but it did also enable the virtual mouse. You can move the mouse cursor by either using the D-pad or the left joystick. The A button is left click, by the way. You turn it back off the exact same way, so hold down Select and R1. There we go. It's now disabled. Try to avoid doing it in the main systems menu, since as we just saw, it does scroll really fast. I will go back to Library. Now holding down the power button for a few seconds brings up a neat little menu. At the very top, it tells us both the RAM and CPU stats, and also obviously lets us power it off or restart it, as well as a few other things, including performance mode. You can press B to close out of this menu. So by default, even on a fresh install, a few games are included. So there's one Dreamcast game, Hyper Final Fight 3, there's 2 Game Gear games, 2 Game Boy games, 2 Game Boy Advance games, 2 Game Boy Color games, 2 Genesis games, 2 Master System games, 2 N64 games, 2 NDS games, 2 NES games. There seems to be pretty much 2 of most games. Neo Geo Pocket, Pico 8, PSP, PlayStation 1, SNES, and then back to the one Dreamcast game. I guess we'll test out one of the stock included games. Maybe Game Boy Advance with the Goodbye Galaxy demo. We'll go down to New Game, skip through the cutscene, and as you can see, it does work perfectly, as you would expect. I guess while we're in a game, we'll quickly run through a few standard Retroarch hotkeys. So pressing the home button at the very bottom once, just a short press, should bring up the Retroarch menu, and this is where you would configure pretty much everything. If you're used to other handhelds like the R36S, the layout is pretty similar. You can close out of the Retroarch menu by either going to Resume in the quick menu, or by pressing the home button once more quickly. Now for the hotkeys. Select is your main hotkey, so you want to hold down Select for all of these shortcuts. Select and R1 toggles fast forward, so now it's enabled, you can see it's a lot faster, and press it again to disable. Select and R2 saves the state. I'll move back, and Select and L2 should load it, and it did. Select and L1 enables slow motion, so everything's running a lot slower. This is definitely handy for harder games like Battletoads in the Turbo Tunnel, although I guess that is technically cheating. Press it once more to disable. Select and X brings up an on-screen FPS counter. It is quite small at the top, but it is there. Select and Y takes a screenshot. And finally, Select plus the right joystick left and right toggles between shaders. If you wanted to quit out of the game, you can either do that through the Retroarch menu, so press the home button once, press B to go back to the main menu, go all the way down to the very bottom to quit. That should take you back to the launcher. Alternatively, you can just hold down the home button for a few seconds, and it should also take you home. I think next we'll go through how you can copy games over from a Windows PC just using a USB cable. We're back on our Windows 11 PC now, and with our Mini 028 still powered on, and on the home screen, we want to connect a USB-C cable to the Mini 028's OTG port, which is the right-hand side USB-C port. It's basically the one in the middle. Plug it in. We don't have to press anything, just give it a few seconds, and it should show up in Windows. So you can see it says AOSP TV on ARM64. We just want to double click on it. It looks like on a completely fresh install of GammaOS onto a 64 gig SD card, we have around 50 gig free space. So double click on the drive, and you would put all of your games inside the correct folder in the ROMs folder. So if we open up ROMs, here's all of the currently supported systems. There are 174 folders. So for example, you would put all of your Game Gear games in the Game Gear folder, and all of your Game Boy games in the Game Boy folder. I'll copy a few test games over and we'll come back. Okay, we've finished copying all of our test games. We'll safely eject our device once more. So eject MTP, and we'll move back over to our Mini 028. So we're back with our handheld, and we have finished copying a few test games over, mainly NES. But if we go over to NES and go in there, you can see the games haven't actually shown up. That's because we haven't refreshed the games list. To do that, we just want to go across to Settings. So you can just press L1. We want to go down to Library and go down to Sync Entirely. Shouldn't take too long. So it's been a few seconds now. It should be finished. If we go back to Library, so press R1. Yep, all of our games have shown up. We'll test one just to make sure there's no issues, probably Mega Man 2. And yep, it does work perfectly. So all of our games are there, and they do work. But as you can see, there's no artwork. Thankfully, since the Mini 028 does have built-in Wi-Fi, it is actually super easy to scrape. So to get started, we'll connect to our Wi-Fi. We can do that from Settings, so press L1 to go to Settings. We are still on Library, so we'll press B to go back. We want to go to System Settings, Network and Internet, turn Wi-Fi on, and finally connect to your home network. It's connecting, and we're connected. So once connected, we want to quit out of these system settings. So you can just press the home button a few times to go back. And then once back on this menu, you want to go back down to Library. And this time we want to go down to Update Every Platform. This should scrape all of our artwork. At the very top right, we do have a little syncing icon. So that's good. So it's finally finished syncing for me. But the time it takes for you will depend on the speed of your internet and how many games you're trying to scrape artwork for. If we press R1 now to go back to Library, and we go back to NES, yep, all of our box art is now there. It's that easy. So we've almost finished setting up the basics, but there is still one little issue with GammaOS that isn't present in StockOS. If we go back into a game, for example, Mega Man 2, and I turn the sound up, you can see there is sound coming out of the speaker, so that's good. But if I go and grab a pair of wired 3.5mm headphones, so just my cheap AliExpress ones here, if I plug it into the 3.5mm socket, which is on the bottom right, you can see they are plugged in, but there's still sound coming out of the internal speaker. Also, the headphones do work, there is sound coming out of them as well, but importantly, there is still sound coming out of the speaker. And ideally, the internal speaker would be muted when connecting headphones. There is thankfully a fix for this, but it's not automated, and you do have to manually toggle it on and off every single time you want to connect your headphones and disable the internal speaker. We will need to move back over to our Windows 11 PC to download and copy this workaround over. We're back on our Windows 11 PC, and we've just opened up Google Chrome once more, and gone to the Lesser Audio Switch Android 11 GitHub page, which again, I will link down in the description below. So on this releases page, under Assets, we want to download lasm.zip. It is pretty small at just under 3.5 meg. Once it finishes downloading, we can close off Chrome and open up our Downloads folder. Inside, we should have our lasm.zip file. We don't want to extract it, we do need to keep it zipped. Next, we want to connect our Mini 028 to our PC over USB once more. The exact same thing, connect a USB-C cable to the OTG port. So we've connected our Mini 028 to our PC over USB once more, but this time it didn't show up on our PC. Thankfully, this is also super easy to fix. We want to hold down the power button on our Mini 028 for a few seconds to bring up the sort of custom shutdown menu. I know it's a bit out of focus, but just bear with me. We want to scroll all the way down to USB options, press A, and go down to MTP, Media Transfer Protocol. It should be just below the charging option. If we press A now, hopefully it shows up in Windows, and it has, there it is. So with our handheld connected and showing up, we want to copy lasm.zip, so just click on it and Control-C. Navigate to our device, again it's called AOSP TV, open internal shared storage, and I think I'll put it in the Downloads folder. So open up Downloads and paste it in here, Control-V. Remember, you don't want to unzip it first, it does need to stay compressed. Once you've copied it over, you can safely eject your device once more, and we'll move back over to our handheld. We're back with our Mini 028 now, and to actually install this audio routing utility, we want to go over to Apps, go down to Magisk, and run that, press A. Once inside, we want to go all the way down to the very bottom, until we can highlight the very bottom navigation icons, and go all the way to the right to Modules, press A. We want to go up to Install from Storage, press A. It should automatically find lasm.zip in our Downloads folder, so make sure it's highlighted, which by default it is, and just press A. It'll ask, are we sure? Go down to OK, and press A. It shouldn't take too long to install, and once it's finished, we want to go down to Reboot, and press A once more. Now this didn't automatically reboot our device, but we do need to do that. So I'll press Home a few times to get out. I'll hold down the power button for a few seconds, and we'll go down to Restart. Once it finishes rebooting, It should automatically take you back to the app screen. From here, we just want to run lesser audio. It's the little red one. When you first open it, you will get an Android 11 support warning. Just saying that it doesn't work with Android 11. That's okay. Go down to I understand and press A. Now in this app, we want to select headphones from this list and press A. And then at the top left, it should say output headphones. That's pretty much it. The internal speaker should now be fully disabled. We'll quit out just by pressing the back button or home button. And we'll go back into a game. So library, NES again, and probably Mega Man 2 again. So we're in the game. I'll make sure the sound's turned up. And it is. But as you can hear, there's nothing coming out of the internal speaker. I'll go and connect my headphones once more. And sure enough, the headphones do work. Now, if you wanted to re-enable the internal speaker, you just have to run the app once more. So we'll quit out. We'll just hold down the home button. We'll go back to apps and lesser audio. This time we want to go up to speakers. And then at the top left, it should say output speakers. We'll quit out once more and go back to Mega Man 2, just to make sure it does still work. And yep, sound is working again from the internal speaker. Unfortunately, as mentioned earlier, there doesn't seem to be a way to automate this. And while it's not perfect, it's better than nothing. Overall, it's not too hard to get GammaOS set up and working on your Mini Zero 28, but the headphone speaker issue might put a few people off, especially if they plan on using wired headphones a lot. Apparently, GammaOS does actually have much better performance than stockOS, especially in harder to run games. So if there's any interest, we could do a side-by-side comparison in a future video to see how much faster it actually is. But I think that'll do it for today. If you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. Otherwise, thanks for watching.